Hey guys, welcome back to Big Law's Official. Uncle Law's back with Auntie Liz. She's finally accepted it. You're just the auntie now. Today we're talking about the Brian Shaw Classic. The Shaw Classic events have been announced and I wanted to bring you mine and Liz's thoughts. First impression, I'm pretty excited. The fact that he's got 8 events, I've been pushing this for a long time. If you've watched my videos, the amount of times I say 5 or 6 events isn't enough to decide a major title. I think it's fine for like a one-day show or something like that, but you want to put on a big event, you want to decide who is the best in the world, we need more events. And Brian understands that. Brian obviously massively experienced strongman himself, you know, a real authority on the sport, you know, someone that we've all got a lot of respect for. We know how good an athlete he has been over his career, and he understands the fact that you need more than 5 events to test who really is the best. He just posted a video recently. We're going to go through what he said, what events he's got, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on what I think about them. I'm sure Auntie Liz will give us her thoughts too.
Okay, so to quickly run through the athlete lineup first. I say quickly, it's quite a long lineup.
It's a lot. It's a big old list of athletes he's got this year.
List.
And let's, you know, when you announce athletes this far away from a contest, it's really hard to know who will turn up. But one thing we can guarantee is you're going to get a number of these guys. I don't think it will be this exact list. We saw changes last year, and with World's Strongest Man happening before this, you never know what's going to happen. Unfortunately, in a sport like strongman, injuries occur.
It's only a week out from Europe's as well, so anyone who's serious about winning Europe's Strongest Man this year, I mean, there's a few contenders in this list.
You know, this is the unfortunate issue we've got this year with so many events is they've all been pushed towards the back end of the year, and it's tough for the different promotions. Athletes are going to have to decide what's most important to them. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say one is more important. Obviously, you know, Europe's to me is a huge title. The way Brian is running this, I think, is a big title and a legitimate claim to maybe say you're the best in the world at an event with so many events and so many great guys. But the guys are going to have to be selective. It's going to be very difficult to do this, travel over to the UK, recover in time to do Europe's. Some of the guys will. I know for a fact some of them will do both. Others will decide to focus on one more than the other. But let's go through the athletes.
Okay, so first then we have Adam Bishop. We've got Maxime Boudreau, JF Caron, Kevin Ferris, Graham Hicks, Mateusz Kieliszkowski, did I say that okay? Trey Mitchell, Alexei Novikov, Robert Oberst, Jerry Pritchett, Luke Richardson, Zydrunas Savickas, Brian Shaw, Evan Singleton, Ivers Schmockstelis, Luke Stoltman, and Tom Stoltman.
It's a hell of a lineup.
17 athletes. It's brilliant though. Like,
it is hell of a lineup.
I mean, like you said, it's almost definitely going to change. I mean, last year there was very little going on, and it changed quite drastically the lineup then. But what an exciting list of athletes to get together. Like, can you remember a time when we had so many people in one competition doing the same event? So I know World's Strongest Man has 25, used to be 30.
Yeah, athletes, World's Strongest Man, obviously you've got the groups, so it's a little different.
But they do different events in the groups. They're not really all against each other, are they, until they get to the final. When was the last time in one competition we saw nearly 20 athletes?
With 8 events?
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
It's
I mean, you've got to go back. Originally, World's Strongest Man was 10 events.
Yeah.
So in the finals it was 10 events, then it went down to 8 events, and then it was like 7 and 6 in the finals. One year it went to 5.
Yeah.
They did go back up to 6 last year in the final, but to see a contest, I think 8 events is perfect.
Yeah, I like 8. And of course it's over 2 days, so it's 4 events each day. It's not that, you know, they're going to be stretching it or anything like that. So I
guess the last time we saw, you know, a big contest with lots of events and a fair amount of competitors was, I don't know if you remember Fortissimus.
Yes, of course, yeah.
So Fortissimus was a huge contest in Canada. That was really good, and this is the same kind of vein, you know.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this. I don't want to go too much about the athletes in this video because a lot can change when it comes to athletes. We don't know what kind of shape people are in yet, who's going to be doing it for sure. So I'll save a prediction and the athletes for closer to the show. Today we wanted to look at the events. Starting off, as they did in 2020, with the Max Log. Max Log, everyone loves a Max event. And there's a couple in this contest actually, Max events.
A couple of great log lifters as well. Obviously, we've got Graham Hicks, Luke Stoltman. That's going to be great if they're both there to see those two battle it out on a max log event. I think, I'm not sure we've ever seen that with those two guys. Certainly not with Luke being as good at log as he is now.
Yeah, I think it's been over the last couple of years. You've sort of got Luke, Iron Bibby, and Hicksy have established themselves as the three best log lifters in the world. The return of Zydrunas, it's really hard to sit here at the moment and say what Zydrunas will be like.
Yeah.
Saw him in Bahrain last week. He doesn't look in log lift record shape.
No.
He looks small.
But he's done this to us before.
But he can spend the next 3-4 months training, and suddenly he just blooms and gets huge and strong. So I never put anything against that man. He's capable of some crazy things. I think realistically, we've got to say his best is behind him, but you just never know. And if he's motivated and he just comes to focus on the log, who knows what he can do. But with the likes of Hicksy and Luke there as well,
it's going to be tough.
Both wanting that record, it's going to be a good way to crack off the show.
Yeah, definitely.
Moving on from the log press, they have the super yoke. So obviously, I think you need a good mixture of events to really decide who's the best, and that's what Brian's done well looking at these events. The super yoke is a great moving event. It's about speed, but he will make it challenging in terms of weight. It's not just going to be a sprint race. I think it'll be at least a minimum. I'd probably say, knowing Brian, he'll put it at about 1,100 pounds, so 500 kilos.
Okay,
and I think for the standard of the athletes these days, that's about right. You can go heavier, but then you've already got a lot of static events in this competition. You can go lighter as well, but the guys are so good that it just becomes a bit of a sprint.
Yeah.
So I think 1,000 to 1,100 pounds is kind of the right area for this type of event. He hasn't announced the weights yet, but it'll be interesting to see what weights he does use when he finally announces. Event number 3 is the bag toss, and I think visually a throwing event it's another different type of strength again, and visually it looks great.
Yeah.
And one thing he said with this, he's going to have the athletes go head to head.
That's exciting.
So do you remember at World's Strongest Man, I think was it 2014? When
Thor and Brian.
Yeah.
It was 2014.
Literally like split seconds between them.
Yeah.
Imagine like a head to head like that where you're looking over and you could panic, you might make a mistake. It's going to change the elements a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
In terms of having that pressure of someone else performing next to you.
It's going to be harder to keep that cool head that you need to really...
We all tell, as an athlete, you try and focus it on yourself, and as a coach, you tell people always just to focus on your own performance. But when you're head to head in the heat of battle, there's points.
It's hard not to look.
You kind of like, your eyes sometimes kind of flicker over to the side.
What's he doing?
And it does change things, That pressure of head-to-head competition makes things exciting. So
you were talking to Manfred Herbal, and he said literally that's the second where he looked over at Magnus Ver Magnusson, probably cost him the World's Strongest Man title because he ended up losing out on a split second.
We all see it so many times when it's those head-to-head events. It makes it interesting. It adds that element of competition, not just... we can all do things on our own perfect conditions, but it just throws. And an event like a throwing event where technique's so important, and you can throw the bag more than high enough, but if it doesn't go over,
the trajectory isn't right. It's
so lots of elements with that can, even a good thrower can make a mistake, and suddenly it costs them a lot of points. And with, at the moment, 17 athletes, you do not want a bad performance.
No, because you'll just drop so drastically. I'm so excited about the next one. A bloody squat. Can you believe it? A car squat.
Yeah, event number 4 for day 1, they're doing a car squat.
Wow.
Which, other than World's Strongest Man, we really don't see very often. I know sometimes Glenn Ross puts a squat into the UK's competitions, but we really don't see a squat that often, and we really should.
Yeah, of course.
Squatting is such a test of strength. And, you've got to give Brian credit. He's testing every single facet of strength in this competition. It's not just about events that I think would suit him.
No,
I think
definitely not.
You can't really. I've said before, 5 events you can make it suit you, but 8 events you
have to be great at everything to win. So yeah,
and it's going to be it's going to be so interesting seeing what guys perform well. I think there'll be such a mix of amazing performances.
I agree.
And the guys that can be the most consistent overall.
It's a hard one to predict as well because, like you say, we see so few squats in strongman. So, you know, just off the top of my head, I'd expect someone like Luke Richardson, who's recently come from powerlifting, to be very good at squatting.
Luke's a great squatter. Hicksy's a great squatter.
Hicksy, of course.
But yeah, I mean...
Other than that, I'm not 100% sure. Obviously, Zadrunas was a great squatter.
Zadrunas was. JF Caron's a great squatter. And, you know, you got to give him credit. Brian has performed when he's had to on squats at World's Strongest Man.
Yeah, definitely.
So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see who is
how they all do
in shape at that time.
And obviously it's for reps, isn't it?
Also, for squat for reps, it can be such a draining event. Last event of day one, do they really want to go absolutely empty the tank on a squat for reps, knowing there's 4 events the next day?
Especially when you see what the first event is the next day.
I think athletes are going to have to be smart. You know, you don't want to just use all your energy up on an event like that. I mean...
You want to just do enough, don't you?
But if anyone watching has ever done a proper, you know, pushed it to the limit, squat for reps to failure, it is brutal.
Oh, yeah.
I remember I once did 252 kilos, about 550 pounds on a safety bar for 20 reps. Hardest set of squats I've ever done in my life. And it took me like, you know, a couple of weeks to recover.
I remember you crawling home.
I think I just led on the floor for, you know, and with still 4 tough events to come the next day. It's going to be interesting to see what guys do. So the weight again will be interesting, and people's tactics. I think there's some guys that will push harder. Some guys will just feel like, I'll just do a rep and get a point.
Yeah.
There's a real mixture when it comes to squatting ability. So that will really test the men from the boys.
Definitely.
Anyway, on to day 2. Starting off day 2 with, I think it's fair to say everyone really loved this event from this year, the Max Hummer deadlift. Brought back from the Arnold's a few years ago. Brian's brought it back into competition. JF Caron smashing. Actually, JF Caron and, you got to give him credit, Jerry Pritchett, putting on an incredible performance head-to-head against each other on that event. Both breaking the record.
Yeah.
JF eventually winning the event. It's exciting to see that event come back.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, do you think, this being on day 2, after the events on day 1, that we could see another record?
It's hard to say. It's so hard to say because, like you said, we don't know who's eventually going to end up being there and what shape they're going to be in after Worlds and everything else.
I think first event, day 2, it'll be hard to see a record.
Yeah.
If I'm totally honest, I'm not convinced we will.
You think they're going to be a bit drained from day 1?
I think they will be. And looking at the guys that are good deadlifters, most of them are good squatters. That energy expenditure will catch up with them eventually.
Yeah.
But I think we'll see some huge numbers. There's a whole list of great deadlifters in this contest.
Yeah, I don't think we should be disappointed if we don't see a world record.
Yeah, that's all I want to kind of, you know, that's all I'm kind of pointing out. I think this show is about the winner, not about the records.
Yeah, absolutely. Because to win this in this lineup is going to be an amazing achievement for anyone.
100%. Now, an interesting event that he's added next, event number 6. So it's a wheelbarrow. So just pick up this wheelbarrow, they've got to push it across the line, and then they move into an arm over arm. Sounds like he's having some kind of apparatus built for this event.
Yeah.
It sounds like an interesting one.
Like a vertical arm over arm, like seated, I assume.
I would guess so.
This is what I've wanted. I've been screaming for these types of events. I'm so excited.
You like the spectacle, don't you?
I do. Well, I don't ever have to do these things.
It's so different when you're an athlete and when you're... But I think it'll be fun. I do. It's and again, a totally different test of strength. It's testing your grip at the forearms, the endurance in the upper body, the timing that you need with the lower body as well. So it'll be an interesting event. And going from the wheelbarrow into the arm over arm, slightly different events, you know. Wheelbarrow is about speed, grip is involved as well, but you've got to be able to... It's kind of similar to a farmer's walk, but slightly different.
You're powering forward, aren't you? You're not
the whole thing is in front of you. Yeah. It's set differently in terms of weight.
Don't see many wheelbarrow races in Strongman
Not so much
anymore.
these
Maybe
days.
You did one in Finland at a Giants Live, something similar to that.
Yeah, I've done a few in the past, but you'll often see farmers and frame are a much more popular event. It'd be interesting to see what apparatus is used though, so I'm looking forward to seeing what tricks Brian has up his sleeve.
And are they going to be loading gravel into the wheelbarrow? That's what I really need to know, because these details are important.
You're going to be on the phone demanding it.
Brian.
So event number 7 is another overhead event, and he's chosen the dumbbell as the second overhead, which is the perfect addition when you have 2 overheads. You don't really want to do, say, an axle and a log.
They're too similar, aren't they?
They're too similar. The dumbbell is actually very different, and you see this in terms of results. You know, if you did axle or Viking press even and log, the results would be very similar in terms of whoever places first on the log.
Yeah.
You're pretty much guaranteed they're probably going to come first on that. Whereas with dumbbell, it's a little different. It's a very technical event, and it requires your whole body.
Yeah.
You look at guys like Novikov and Kiliashkovsky, 2 explosive athletes, use their whole body. Although they're good log pressers, they're not in the talks of a Luke Stoltman,
No.
Graham Hicks, even Zadrunas.
Yeah.
Zadrunas was never the best on the dumbbell, even when he was dominating the log. So they are 2 slightly different overheads. So if you're going to have 2 overheads, that is the extra one to put in.
I really hope Kiliashkovsky can come back in full health. Oh.
Well, we'll keep fingers crossed for that. That's another video again altogether. But
sorry.
It would be good.
I digress.
It would be great to see him back, obviously. And then they're finishing with the traditional Atlas stones. For me, out of such a great, I'm happy to see.
Yeah,
The Atlas Stones is a great event. I'm just a little bored of always seeing it.
Yeah,
but
it's almost like
I
expectation.
almost, I've got absolutely. I love this set of events. I really do. I think the only way it could make it better was maybe if he put like a natural set of stones in there or something like that. It was just that little bit different. To kind of finish it off, but I'm not going to complain. Atlas Stones is such a standard strongman event. All the guys have them to train on. There's nothing funny about Atlas Stones.
No,
so
nothing funny at all.
But I'm really impressed with this set of events.
Yeah,
I
me
think
too.
If you're looking to find who is the best strongman on the planet, I've been saying for absolutely forever to anyone that will listen that we need more than 5 or 6 events.
Basically.
So Liz is fed up of hearing it. Brian's listened to me. He's answered my call. He saved Liz from more nagging, so I'm excited to see it. I know most of you guys will be excited too. I think it's going to be a great event, a real strong point in the Strongman calendar for 2021. Obviously, we'll go into athletes' potential predictions, results and stuff much closer to the time. But for now, we just wanted to bring you our thoughts on the events. Looking forward to seeing it. Make sure you go over to Brian's page. He's got a website set up now just for the Shaw Classic.
That's good, because we did have a few issues logging on. I just don't think it was ready for the volume of traffic.
He seems to listen to what people want.
Definitely.
So make sure you guys go and check that out. We'll bring you lots more news on all these up-and-coming events as we get closer. But we just wanted to let you know our thoughts on the events. And as always, comment below. Let us know what you think about them. What's your favourite event? What are you looking forward to the most? And do you like the fact that we have 8 events to look forward to in a huge competition? While you're here, guys, subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my awesome strength content.